Spring's here, my friend. Are you ready to play? Everyone, it's Graham Street. I'm the owner for Cycle Core and Cycle Club. You're joining me here for another Q&A session. This one concerning in-season training and 4 or 5 steps to help get your brain in alignment with what it means to build your fitness from the off-season strength level to the in-season strength level. I got this question in from Russell. Graham, I'm finishing up your off-season training and anxious to move into the in-season level work. My FTP went from 227 to 268 watts in the 90 days, which is excellent, by the way. Congratulations. Can you go over in one of your videos how often I should ride each week to build my endurance? How many weeks for a build phase? And how many workouts per week should I use the high-intensity training, core level work, and outdoor rides? How much FTP gains should I expect? Russell. Okay, so quite a few questions here, and I'm going to bullet point some key specifics. It's not that Russell is asking the wrong questions, but he's not asking them in a way that's going to guarantee ongoing success. First and foremost, those of you that are finishing up your off-season training, whether it's with my Cycle 90 base program or someone else's, hopefully what you've established by this point is a foundation of strength and functionality. Okay, that base foundation is hypercritical to make the next leaps forward with your in-season specific strength. Most people right off the bat have a low level of base level fitness, and as a result struggle to get in-season improvements because there's not a foundation there from which to build from. Now, that being said, the first thing on the list here is what I call in-season specificity. What does that mean? You can probably guess just with the term alone what specificity means, meaning for the in-season, we want to take a generalized level of strength and fitness that you've established, again, whether with my program, with Cycle 90, or someone else's, and now we want to extrapolate more specifically from that base strength. Think about it like this. So if you're looking to do centuries and epic rides, we need to extrapolate more what? More endurance from the base level of strength. If conversely you were doing nothing but crit races or XC races, we need to extract a huge amount of threshold and above level power and repeatability. If we were doing a climbing epic level event with 10,000 feet of vertical gain over 100 miles, we'd have to build both endurance and climbing specificity. So it's not just one or the other. And what I really go after here is making my build blocks, meaning the small structures of training designed in smaller pieces. So level 2 here is the build block method. For my Cycle 90 in-season, which I know many of you have just recently purchased or are already started, what you're going to notice in there is that unlike my Cycle 90 base or a typical off-season system, in-season systems will tend to be smaller pieces of more intense training on a specific agenda. And that's the key word there, a specific agenda. So when you look at the block 3x1, I've been riding for 30 years now. And I've worked with literally tens of thousands of riders around the world. In general, the sweet spot that I have found for overall continuing to progress one's fitness is what's called a 3x1 block. 3 weeks of progressive overload, okay? Overload is key. If you want to improve, again, we've learned this the hard way. If you want to improve, you have to overload specific systems, whether it's the force production, whether it's the aerobic system, whether it's the anaerobic system, whether it's your muscular endurance system, whether it is your neuromuscular capacity, whether it is all of the above. We need to specifically overload those compartments to get your body to react, to get an ongoing rate of return. However, the more we overload, okay, the more dangerous it becomes for us to kind of tip over the edge. And if you want to call it overtraining, you can. For most people, it's basically overreaching, and then they fall into this abyss where I was making great progress week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6. I've seen people have 10-week build blocks with no recovery in between. And this is their dire mistake, is that if you are truly doing intense specific overload, you have to get a reprieve, not just weekly, with recovery workouts built into the schedule weekly, but on a monthly basis as well. I see so many riders, even experienced ones, riding for 8, 10, 12, 15 weeks without anything, even a regular day off. And they wonder why out of nowhere they begin to tank. And it's because they're not sequencing recovery into their phases. Now when I say recovery, again, my guides in my in-season system will tell you this. The recovery is not propping your feet up on the couch and eating bonbons all day. It's about getting your body to extract the overload that you just put into it over the past 3 weeks. So if the quality of overload is high, and the recovery is high, your rate of return, your results are guaranteed. If you're not seeing results, it's either because your overload quality is too poor, meaning you're just not doing good quality overload, or you are not sequencing in recovery. Number 3 here on my list, and this one is important, this one is key. Weekly key sessions. I really extracted the term key sessions more from a triathlon background, because triathlon really understands very well from a training point of view the importance of what's called a key session. In a simple nutshell, a key session is the one workout per week, possibly 2, but usually 1 workout per week that is most in alignment with the goal given. So if you're an endurance rider looking to do a long epic and you're in your build phases, there's 1 workout per week, especially in my systems, that is an overemphasis on the importance and quality control of that 1 workout. Now, I know it sounds a little bit strange. Well, I can ride for 7 days a week. Every workout's important. Well, this is true and not true. Every workout's important, but not every workout can be a key session. Even a professional athlete can only do, typically, maximum, at the highest level of peak, 3 key sessions in a week. And a good coach and consultant would say, really, twice per week would be maximum for what's called key workouts. These are workouts that stretch beyond your boundaries in a very specific way, targeted exactly at what it is you're most in favor of. This is where a lot of riders make mistakes, is they want to see this constant improvement. So they're going after group ride after group ride, 3 group rides a week. They're doing 2 or 3 long rides per week, and they get these kind of muddled returns, and then they see this big cave-in later. And it's because they don't understand the concept of 3x1 blocking, and more importantly, the use of key sessions. Now, when you look at my Cycle 90 in-season plans, and you guys can pause me right now and open up your plans, you're going to see per week, whether it's the race plans, whether it's the XC plans, whether it's the climbing plans, whether it's the endurance plans, that if you're paying attention, you'll see 1 workout per week that really stands out, saying, holy shit, that's going to be a really tough workout. And it's going to be directly pointed at precisely what most people in that agenda are going to need. If I know you're doing road racing and crit races and things like that, or XC performance, I know that Zone 4 and Zone 5 level power are hypercritical. Repeatability is hypercritical, and that means that you need to have 1 workout per week that's designated just to that focus and overreaching that boundary to create the stimulus. All the other workouts within the plan per week have value, but they're what's called support value. They're the workouts that make the other key sessions stand out. Does that make sense? Those auxiliary workouts, those support workouts, make your key session have more potential. And those, you ask any professional athlete, especially, again, a triathlete is a great example. They'll tell you, everything for my week, especially as I get closer and closer to my goal, is designated towards my key session or sessions of the week. All my other workouts are there to simply support me getting to that one particular day with a higher probability of getting a higher rate of return from that workout. Once you begin to conceptualize that correctly and begin to think about it and execute it with the plans that I have available for you, you're going to see consistent levels of improvement specifically at what it is you want to achieve. Next 2 things, InRide Drills. I think a lot of you think that because you did my Cycle 90 base program, that I'm going to have you inside all in season. This could not be further from the truth. With the in-season package, I've got, 15 or so InRide drills and workouts to be done outside on the bike. What this does is it lends itself to every ride you do outside now has a purpose behind it other than just accumulating miles and hoping you get a rate of return. No. With InRide sequencing, InRide drilling, I give you an opportunity to practice and give you things to work on that progress from week to week and over time to create a net result. This is why when you see people that are riding 6 days a week, 7 days a week come in season, they'll get this initial spurt, and then you'll see them basically, if you pay attention to them, the same level of return all year long. And that's because they don't sequence in InRide drills specific to work on problems, whether it's cadence control, whether it's tempo discipline, whether it's zone 4 efforts, whether it's repeatability, rest to work ratio recoveries. These things are what come natural to me in my brain. This is what I was born to do. So when I build a system, I integrate that for you, and then I'm asking you, when you go out, here are the things I want you to achieve today. If you want to ride another 4 hours on top of that after you are achieving what I'm asking you to do, I guarantee you'll get your rate of return. But the extra 4 hours, that's up to you. If you feel like you need to add more, feel free to do so. But let me warn you, when you move to my in-season systems, if you thought the Cycle 90 base system was tough, and it is tough, Cycle 90 in-season is going to rip your face off. Know going in that even with 3x1 blocks, okay, regardless of whether you're at the entry level or the advanced level, everything's relative to your fitness. You need to keep that in mind. So a hard workout for me is just as equally a hard workout for you. The difference is that my power might be half as much as yours, or yours might be half as much as mine, depending on your FTP. Going back to Russell's question here, how much FTP gain how much power or threshold gain can you continue to make in the in-season? Again, it's the wrong question. The right question is not how much more threshold gains can you make, but more importantly, how can you segment and execute that threshold you've already gained from your off-season and use it as a tool and a weapon to expedite more information, more value from your in-season training. This is where I see so many of you, and pay attention to me, now more than ever. So many of you have used a power meter for the first time in your lives this winter. You are on Trainer Road, which is a great tool to use. You can use it with my programs for both off-season and in-season. It's great. Don't get me wrong. Allows you to monitor your power, watch the escalations. Great. However, just seeing an improvement in your functional threshold power is a nice thing to have. But I'd be willing to bet that many of you don't know how to execute that power correctly out on the road and out in the trails to an advantage for you. And this is where the planning and the workouts and the structure is of more value than just threshold power. Okay, so are you going to continue to see threshold gains come in season? Absolutely, but it won't be as monumental as you should have achieved during Cycle 90 base. Cycle 90 base is on average 12 to 18%, 15% of gains being the sweet spot. Now we need to take that 15% gain and we need to target it specifically at what it is you want to achieve. Are you following me? Because if you're doing like a 100 mile or 150 mile or 200 miler, are you going to be riding that threshold and above for that ride? I sure the hell hope not, because you're not going to get very far. If you, however, want to ride your best sustainable Zone 3 plus sweet spot effort for that ride, now we need to learn how to take that FTP that we've gained, cull it down, splice it up, and expand it for what we want to use it for. If conversely to that, you were a racer, and you need to execute Zone 5, Zone 6 level power, that FTP still has value. But now it has to be basically the building plate from which we add that higher level of speed and performance. And again, that's where I target that afterwards. So it's not just about making gains with threshold now. Now we need to use that threshold and advance it forward specifically for other agendas. This is why I keep reminding you, if you're coming to me for the first time, you're thinking about buying a program from me, you need to start with the Cycle 90 base system. And the reason why is that if I have a greater, higher level of that FTP, that functional threshold power, that Zone 4 heart rate stability, now I can do a whole bunch of stuff with it with you. But if it's not there, moving into the in-season, you're going to get your ass kicked. You're not going to be able to hang with anything I'm asking you to do if I can't build a solid foundation first and then turn that into execution. Last quick thing here is the sum effect. When it comes to the in-season, 3x1 blocking. Again, and you're thinking, well, 3x1 blocks, it's only 4 weeks. You know, the in-season is a couple months. Well, that's because we can keep sequencing in and rotating these 3x1 build blocks specifically for each target goal you may have. A couple road races, a couple crits, a couple endurance centuries, an XC event, an epic event, an enduro event. You following me? And we're rotating how we're sequencing those things in to target specific agendas. When people call me for their premium consults, and I've done at least 35 premium consults in the past 5 days alone. People call me from all over the world to speak to me on the phone. Graham, here's my goal. How do I sequence these things in using your programming? All my job is to assess what the goals are, who the person is, where the weak points are, and then pick and choose which of these modules to use to get them to that specific goal. You don't have to have me available for that. When I built my systems, that's all available for you in the guide. I will teach you literally how to do exactly what I do for a couple $100 an hour that you can do for free with the same in-season system. The big thing here is the sum effect. The sum effect of multiple of these build blocks in a row over time is what creates a huge rate of return. Let me stop here. I know many of you that are watching me right now have been watching me for years on YouTube, and I do appreciate you being such a big fan of my videos. It really is a great thing to serve you. If you watched me last year, okay, the huge changes from BC Bike Race, D2R2, the PRing the VT50, doing my first marathon, top 10, my first ultra run, what made that possible was exactly what I'm sharing with you here. I mean, exactly everything I'm sharing with you right here is what made that possible. That and a change in my thinking about targeting specifically what it is that I wanted. And this is all available for you to do the same thing. My plans, my workouts are great, and you can use them. I'm going to keep progressing you and keep pushing you. But at the end of the day, it's your switch in your brain that you have to flip and make that decision to see that sum effect. My friend, I hope these tips are helpful. As always, please share with your friends, fellow teammates, fellow club members. If you're starting with me, start with Cycle 90 Base. You can get the link below for the video. I've got a killer package for Cycle 90 Base. 90 days, 15% stronger, guaranteed. Once that's done, now you can move to the Cycle 90 in-season. It's going to come with 6 specific training plans for both road and mountain bikes. So you give me the goal with that plan, that system. I guarantee I will get you there to the best of my ability if you're willing to flip the switch to get there to the best of your ability. Until we speak again, right with a smile on your face, I'll update you soon on my first events of the year, and hopefully spring is sprouting for you. I'm going to be hopefully getting out for a big run today after a long ride yesterday. I'll talk to you soon.